standpoints, because branding is not just a logo. It's not just a website. It's not how you look, so to speak. It's how you make your audience feel and how they perceive you as a subject matter expert. And if they don't, we have a major problem, don't we? So
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Note Culture Show. As always, Scott Carson. I am your host here and jacked up, excited. Yes, for those that are watching this live, a little festive here. I got, we got the wreath, we got the lights, we got the Santa hat and the sign, we got the, the red plants. Where the hell are these damn things? The poinsettias behind us. Wearing my, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation Shitters Full t-shirt here. We're excited. We've got a little bit of branding going for the holidays today, and I can't think of a better guest to have on this morning than our good friend and known as the brand doctor, our buddy Henry Kaminski Jr. joining us from sunny Florida this morning. Good morning, Henry.
what is going on, my man? What's shaking?
I'm just, I'm back in Austin. I was out in Florida for a couple days for our Note Mastermind group with some great people, but excited here as we look at the last couple weeks of the year. Man, it's hard to believe that we got 3 weeks left of the year, really 2 weeks till Christmas. And it's funny that a lot of people are already kind of mailing it in for the year, and we're still rocking and rolling, right?
Yeah, dude, I'm super pumped. I'm actually in New Jersey where I'm freezing.
Right.
I'm freezing my ass off. I wish I was in Florida and Austin.
My apology. Totally said Florida thinking me, and as soon as I said, no, wait, he's in New Jersey.
Oh, man. But, dude, I appreciate you having me on the show. We had you on the Brand Doctor podcast not too long ago. You ripped it up over there. So I'm just excited to share some value with your audience and, do the best I can.
No problem, man. We also, for those that may have watched us during the National Social Media Day, June 30th, Henry was a guest on there. Got a ton of rave reviews out there. One of the big reasons it helped us get over 150,000 views on all those videos out there. It's kind of crazy. But Henry, why don't you take a second and tell everybody who you are here, kind of your expertise. We'll go from there, my friend.
Sure. So, again, my name's Henry Kaminski Jr. I own a company called Unique Designz, and I specialize in personal branding. So I've been in business for now 12 years. I've spent the last 12 years designing my personal brand, and I've helped many, many, many entrepreneurs design theirs. So we've gotten very, very niche, and we help people come to market from a brand identity standpoint to a messaging standpoint, because branding is not just a logo. It's not just a website. It's not how you look, so to speak. It's how you make your audience feel and how they perceive you as a subject matter expert. And if they don't, we have a major problem, don't we? So I've spent the last decade and 2 years mastering my craft and have created some beautiful brands. I've worked with some folks you may have heard of, such as Bon Jovi, Russell Brunson, Fabio Viviani, some really awesome individuals, inspiring as well. So I'm here to provide value any which way I can in regards to positioning yourself as a subject matter expert, building your personal brand, scaling your expertise, and helping you, live a better life and run a better business.
There you go. Good stuff there. So let's talk about, because there's a lot of people, especially as we get to the end of the year, they're starting to think about the New Year's resolutions. And, in our line of work, we get a lot of people that come over that want to leave their job to pursue their passion or chase, become an entrepreneur of some sort. And they come from a 40-hour work week where they've been dictated to what to wear, kind of what that job or boss mentality of what that culture is, to trying to do something on their own, or starting to do some things on their own, start to chase their own dreams. What are some of the biggest, let's start off, biggest mistakes you see people kind of doing when they're right out of the gate?
So they're trying to be something they're not.
Yep.
Okay. And one of the biggest mistakes that people make is trying to front or trying to be something that they haven't had any experience in yet. Just because you got ClickFunnels and it makes it easy to create landing pages, it doesn't mean that you're an expert in it. It doesn't mean like, you understand marketing, you know what I mean? So what I like to tell people is make sure that you have achieved some sort of success up front and then showcase that success. Because here's the deal. People are going to hire you because you are where they want to be.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And there's nothing more inauthentic is trying to, fake it till you make it. I know people, jump on that bandwagon, but I'm here to tell you that eventually you'll be found out. So let me give you a quick example. So I'm not here to point fingers. I've done that and got the t-shirt where all I wanted to do was impress my family, impress my friends, impress my colleagues. And what all that got me was nothing but a bunch of resentment because they were like, Henry, this isn't you. Who are you trying to kid? Who are you trying to fool? You're not fooling us. So why do all of this? Do it for you, right? Do it for you. And so it took me many years, Scott, for me to realize that. And it took some really big fallouts from friends and family. My wife almost had it up to here one year and was like, listen, I didn't sign up for this, so either you're going to fix it or we're going to do something different here. And so that really woke me up. And I said, I need to come authentically. I need to come because I knew who I was as a person and the way I was being perceived, it was completely different. And so I had to fix that really quick. Otherwise I was going to be out of business and I was attracting all the wrong clients.
Oh, wow. That's a huge thing. I think a lot of people that try to be something they're not, and especially in the entrepreneur space, a lot of people are attracted to the Gary Vaynerchuks, the Grant Cardones out there because they're running videos online and people are like, oh yeah, that's awesome. I want to be the Gary V of this. I'm like, no, don't be the Gary V, be the you, as you just said.
Gary V's taken. He's already taken.
Yeah. You don't have to drop F-bombs. That's Gary Vee can get away with it because he's got experience. Just be yourself. And you said something very, very important. I think a lot of people maybe missed is while we're all branding, we're all looking for success or deals to close so we can provide some things. Go out and share some of that success. First off, that social proof. First off, right? Versus trying to be a big bad boy with a rented Lambo, right?
Well, here it is. When I was a kid growing up, I was one of 50 white kids in my whole school. So, I kind of grew up, I had two educations. I got one on the street and I got one in school, right? And so one of the things that our friends always used to tease each other on was if we were going to call BS on somebody, right? If somebody was coming at us with some nonsense, we would say, show them proof. Just show them proof. And they would either do it and we'd be like, all right, fist bump, you're good. Or we'd be like, you're full of, you know what? So like, you know what I mean? So it really made me realize that social proof is everything. And people are going to buy results. They're going to buy solutions. They're going to buy your game plan. They're going to buy your expertise, your value, because we don't get paid for our time. We get paid for our value. I see a lot of people out there putting this nonsense out there. I saw some guy last week talking about, he was talking to a big audience and he said, you shouldn't be putting out any content on social media. That's nonsense. And I go, and here's this woman, going, okay, all right. I won't put anything out there like zombies. And I'm going to myself, make sure that you take action on the things that feel right. Does that sound right to you if you want to build an audience, build a following, build your subject matter expertise, and actually serve an audience? Does that sound right to not put any content out there that people can resonate and connect with and find relevant? And here's an audience like So, there's a lot of nonsense out there. So I always say, consider the source. If they're not out there doing it, ask them why. And I did a podcast on this recently, and I said, if there's anything that ever comes out of my mouth that you would like to challenge, bring it. Because I would love to get your perspective. I would love to hear your side of it, because it'll give me a different angle to look at. So, it all comes down to, it's got to feel right in order to be executed.
Well, that's the truth. And I'm so glad you said that, because a lot of people, they don't believe in it. It's going to come across as they're faking it, or they're just not into it. And that's one of the easiest things. Let's face it, we're all salesmen and sales ladies out there of some sort. If we don't believe in what we're talking about, it shines through definitely in the message. It shines through in how we act or to roll with it. I mean, you can, no matter what it is, right, Henry?
Listen, if you wouldn't buy your own product, what makes somebody else want to buy it, right? If you don't believe in yourself, what makes you think other people are going to believe in you? So it really has to come from within. And I did a lot of personal development stuff this year that has changed my life. I'm a big PD junkie. I start and end my day with Jim Rohn, the OG of personal development.
Yeah.
And, I realized that it all starts there. And then the second piece is you really got to master your craft. You really got to niche. So one of the second biggest mistakes I see people make is that they're not focused on a specific audience. They don't even know who the hell they're serving. So they're frustrated because they don't know what kind of content to put out there. They want to know why they're suffering from obscurity. They have no clue what to offer. They're putting out products and service that they think are cool, but not what their audience is willing and able to buy, right? And it all comes down to knowing who you want to serve. So when my mentor said to me, Henry, where do you see yourself in the next 3 years? And what brings you the most joy? And I said, honestly, helping people similar to me. Like personal brands that have an established business, they're doing well, but maybe they feel a little bit embarrassed by the brand that they have out there right now because maybe their cousin put their website together, right? Or, they started bootstrapping it, but now they're doing decent and they want to take things up a notch, right? That's my journey. I mean, if you would have saw my brand 10 years ago, you'd laugh. It took a while to get to where I'm at today. And now I'm saying to myself, here's what it looks like. Here's the new opportunity when you level everything up. You get better clients. You work with less people, make more money. You create a lifestyle. You create a business that could run on its own, right? You don't have to be everything. And so my goal for 2019 is to have my name synonymous with personal branding for influencers. So if you're an influencer, a coach, consultant, speaker, author, those folks that want to make an impact in this world, make it a better place and inspire people and motivate them and create a better version of themselves, then that's a qualification that you must have in order for me to work with you.
But it's so good because you've narrowed it down. That's such a huge thing. So many people, we see this in the real estate side of things too, Henry, a lot of times. They want to be a jack of all trades. They're running from one workshop to another workshop, to another workshop, to another workshop, and they never take the time to implement what they've learned in the first one or to give it time to get those lessons or that marketing or those phone calls or those letters to work, because they're constantly running around with a chicken with their head cut off. They're trying to be a jack of all trades, and as I like to say, totally a master of none, right?
Scott, go ahead. Finish your thought.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I mean, I did a presentation down Fort Lauderdale not too long ago to a bunch of agency owners, and I put up a slide, and there was about a gazillion people sitting in a piazza, right? And I said, do you think it would be much easier to try to get a message across to all of these people, or would you find it easier to get a message across to, and I shared the next slide, which was a woman sitting at a desk by herself looking over her shoulder, basically with the look on her face like, I need your help, right? It's a lot easier to speak to one person than it is to hundreds of thousands of people that have all different types of issues, right? So when I realized that, I like influencers because they're on a mission. I'm on a mission, right? I know that I can take them to where they want to be. They just need that vehicle, and I'm that vehicle. You know, my team and my expertise and my insight is that vehicle. And so I've been able to really focus in on that. And, you know, my clients are just amazing individuals. I mean, these people are going to change the world, you know, one client at a time. So it has this ripple effect because now they're influencers. So I'm influencing them, and now they're influencing their audience. And now there's this ripple effect. And I think that's how I'm going to take over the world.
There you go. Dr. Evil. That's good stuff. I mean, you mentioned something earlier, especially people getting into, and I look back, I was just thinking when you were talking about how we often bootstrap things initially as entrepreneurs, right? I look back and thinking what my website was like 10 years ago versus what it is today, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. But the thing is the hustle and the social proof that I was providing online overshadowed my crappy website that I had. You know what I mean? They could see that I could do it. And then as I added things slowly but surely, as I had profits and invested back in the business, got a nice website, invested like 16 grand as we come in and help rebrand me with a logo and things like that. Let's talk a little about that stuff, because it's different today than it was a decade ago or even 20 years ago for the most part. What are some of the things that the most important things that entrepreneurs could really look at doing to kind of help themselves out with that branding? I know that we've often got family members of bootstrapping, but what's some of the biggest things that when you just initially see, whether it's an influencer or somebody, you just kind of have to shake your head and say, man, what the heck were you thinking?
Yeah, well, simplicity is king. I think everybody wants to put as much as possible on their website, and too much is bad, right? It's like trying to force feed somebody a Big Mac when they're not hungry. So you don't want to do that. So simplification is key. So you want to first and foremost start off with the how, what, why, right? Sort of framework. So what I do, how I do it, why I do it, right? People want to know why you're doing what you're doing more than anything else, right? And that goes a long way. Video is very key. People love to consume video. They love the story. So if you go to my website, uniquedesignz.net, you'll see part 1 of my story and part 2 of my story. And people really resonate with that. I've had grown men come to me before an introductory consult call and say, bro, you had me in tears. You know, that's why I booked the call with you. And so when you share your story and you really share that authenticity, you know, people overplay that word, but let me tell you something. In the branding space, it is a word that will never go out of style for me. And as an expert in the field, you know, you have to always go back to it. People are going to see right through your nonsense, right? So, and social proof. You know, you got to have some sort of social proof. So case studies. There's a whole case study section on my website with 5 different case studies, right? And I designed them strategically to bring them through the process. So if anybody who's considering trying to work with me, you know, they actually see what I've done for other people and the process that I take them through. Now, it's not cookie cutter. It's very custom tailored to the person that I'm working with, because we all have different goals. We all have different things that we want to accomplish, right? So that is all tremendous value for somebody that's coming to your website. So here's the thing. You know, you got to put your you got to put your best foot forward. If people come to your website and it looks outdated, it looks like somebody slapped it together with toothpaste and gum, they're probably going to subconsciously say to themselves, I wonder if this is what their product or service looks like. And right. So you know, I have a different eye for this stuff when I go to people's websites, because I guess, you know, I'm in the space every day, but like, subconsciously, when people walk into it's like walking into a restaurant with a dirty bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Imagine what their kitchen looks like. Now my head's, I'm scratching my head going, oh my God, they just touched my steak. You know what I mean? So, it's very, very important. You got to put your best foot forward when you're talking to your audience, especially if you want to get to the next level, because nobody is going to hire somebody that they think they're already better than.
Mm-hmm. That's true. And we definitely see that here on the real estate side as we're dealing with investors. Identifying, you said the who, what, why, which is really great. Why are we doing what we do? Who am I? Whether I'm Laura Bluck in Wilmington, Texas, or Phil Jacobs in Detroit, or Scott Carson in Austin, Texas. Who am I? What am I doing? And what's my why behind this? Is it my family? Is it that I love helping make America great one mortgage at a time? Is it helping owners stay in their houses to make money? Those kind of things are all relevant. And then also, I think the biggest thing I think you said too is identifying the individuals that you're working with and asking the questions that they would be thinking, right?
And that's another thing that I see a lot of people going, taking the wrong step is they're not taking the time to understand their audience and ask them questions. Every week there's a post that I do not deviate from, and I put it out on my Instagram page. And I say, how can I help you build and grow your personal brand this week? And that post gets the most engagement out of all the posts all week long. And they literally give me the fuel and content that I need to put out there for that following week, for that upcoming week. And so now I'm able to create video, create blog, create content that speaks to exactly what their pain points are. And when people start to feel like you are inside of their heads, like, it's a game changer. And again, that's all brand. That's all how you make them feel. So, all the little things matter.
Yes, they do. They totally do. But that's such a huge point. A lot of us run around thinking what we think is best when actually it's not. And that's the biggest mistake I see a lot of people make is like, well, you're talking for yourself. But if you're out trying to raise capital from somebody who's 35 to 65, a homeowner, college educated, likes real estate, is worried about retirement, if you can figure out what the biggest fears of what your clients are going on and solve those fears, like you just said, how can I help you each week on your Instagram account? And people are going to tell you what they need if you just ask, and then importantly, listen, right?
Listen, that's why we got 2 ears and 1 mouth. It's the key to success. I mean, I had the sales process all backwards back in the day. I mean, I was the guy that everybody made fun of because I was the one that talked myself right out of the sale. I was the one that talked about himself the whole time. I cringe thinking back to how I used to present myself on prospect calls and sales calls. And now if I do 10% of the talking, that's a lot. They call me the brand doctor because the way I work with my clients. So I diagnose, I prescribe, and then I apply, right? And so I used to just try to prescribe without getting to the bottom of it. And right away, Scott, when somebody is like, okay, I'm enough, because they don't feel heard. And so now all I do is just bring them through a series of very specific questions that they probably never thought of before. And at the end of that call, they have a decision to make. Do I move forward or do I not move forward? Because I either signed up for this or I didn't sign up for this, right? So I always tell them, at the end of the call, like, you have a decision to make. And what typically happens is I have challenged their thought process so much on that call. They're like, this is a no-brainer. Like, I don't know why where have you been? That's typically the response that I get. And sometimes it's out of people's budgets because I will tell you, I'm one of the most expensive in the market because I know the results that I deliver, right? So I'm upfront with those folks. You know, I tell them up front, listen, you could find cheaper options, believe me when I tell you, but what are you looking for? You're looking for a cheap price, or you're looking for a result? You know, that's what it comes down to. So when you challenge people's thinking, they're like, this guy's valuable or this gal's valuable. I need to get them on the team.
And that's the thing is never, I'm a big, you get what you bought, you definitely get what you pay for, you know, and I have made plenty of mistakes trying in the past to go and save a nickel, and when I should have just gone ahead and paid the whole dollar to begin with, right?
Yeah. You know, I was listening to Jim this morning, and he said something along the lines of, if you want cheap things, the result will be a cheap life, a cheap business, a cheap personal brand, you know? So what do you want? You know what I mean? It's completely up to you. You have a choice. And so, you know, I've always been a premium guy. I grew up very fortunate. My father raised me by himself, and he worked 4 freaking jobs to do it. So he showed me what work ethic looks like. But let me tell you something. You know, I would go to Canal Street to get my clothes, and Canal Street is Chinatown in New York City. And that's where I've got my school clothes. You know, I would snowplow. I would help my dad snowplow on the side. I would shovel. I would do all these things. But like, we didn't have fancy things. Like when he would pick me up from a date, he had a '74 booger green Chevy pickup truck, and he still has it to this day. And I would have him pick me up around the corner because I was embarrassed by it. And I just made this pact to myself one day when I was 16 years old. I was just about to get my license. I said, when I have the money, I will never drive a crappy car. And to this day, I don't. My wife thinks I'm crazy because of the cars in my garage, but like, it is what it is. And so I just said, level up. You know, you deserve it. You know, and Jim talks about this a lot. You don't get what you want. You don't get what you need. You get what you deserve. So you want to work hard, you can play hard.
It's a truth. such good nuggets out there. Now, what's for those that have been in business for a while, that are starting to make some money, starting to have some success, what are some of the things that they can be doing, or should they be doing? I mean, the nice watch, the nicer car, you know, what are we talking about?
Well, you know, listen, don't get caught up on the material things. You know, I want you to reinvest in your business. Okay. You know, the watches and the cars that you see, you know, that comes after the fact. So the difference between rich people and poor people is what? Rich people invest first, buy later. Poor people buy first and invest what's left.
Yeah.
That's the big problem. And that was me. So I raised my hand again. I had to learn financial intelligence. That didn't come easy for me. You know, my father still has the first quarter he made, right? And because it was so extreme, I went way the other way, and I spent every nickel I had. And you know, what Russell Brunson calls cycling, I cycled twice. I made a whole bunch of money and lost it. Made a whole bunch of money and lost it. And I said, that's not good for my son. That's not good for my wife. It's not good for my health either. And I hate when I'm in that valley of death, I call it, during those times. And so I leveled out at 30,000 feet and continuing to scale, of course, but I've really learned to invest my money first and then buy the nice things later. And so this was my Christmas present I should say my end of year present this year, because I was able to work with 8 clients and make more money than 48 clients that I worked with last year. And I was proud of myself. There was no refunds. There was no chargebacks. There was none of that. People walked away with a quality product. People walked away confident, happy, raving reviews. And I said, then I deserve something like this. So you got to remember, you got to celebrate your wins.
Amen to that, brother. Amen to that. And congratulations too. I think you won a little award here just recently too, I saw online.
That's right. So I was speaking at an event called Agency Influence 2018. It was a room full of agency owners, so digital marketers and people that run marketing agencies, online, offline. And I was awarded the 50K recurring revenue award. And it was an amazing, I didn't think that I was going to get something like that, but they had asked me they gave me this questionnaire when I was registering. They needed all my information as a speaker, blah, blah, blah. But I had no idea that award was coming. So when they called it the agency Emmys. And so that they called me up and they gave me this little reward. And I said, I thought to myself, I had to pinch myself because I was like, wow, it wasn't too long ago where I was negative in the bank account. And, my biggest dream was to make 50K a year, never mind per month. And so what I realized this, Scott, I'm going to leave you, I want to make sure that your audience gets this. One of the biggest shifts I made this year, and you see a lot of the bigger influencers like Russell and Tony and all those guys talking about it, is I shift my focus off of the money and I focused my attention on my clients' results. Because why are we doing what we're doing? And so I made a pact to myself when I started to really get my act together this year. And I said, Henry, what are you really working for? So it's kind of twofold. One is I want to make my father, my wife, and my son proud. But I'm also working for the testimonial. I'm working for the testimonial. I want my client at the end of the project or the end of the whole Brand Accelerator program to say, wow, you changed my life. You changed the way that I thought. You changed my business. You changed the people that I work with. And what can I do to serve you now? And that's what I realized. So when you focus on helping them get the results that they're looking for, and you don't worry about, oh, I'm on the clock, or, oh, I'm coming up on my 60-minute mark, it's time to go, and you slam the door in their face, like, that's all gone. Like, I won't let somebody off a client call. I won't let a client off a Zoom call until I know that it's embedded in their DNA that they know what to do next. And that's changed my entire game.
Huge, man. Huge. Congratulations, man. But that's the thing. It is, like you said, sometimes it's better to work with fewer than the being for the masses, because you can really dive down, really do a deep dive, and really, add more influence to that aspect.
That's the thing. That's the thing. It's influence and it's impact, and it's really, you're changing people's lives. People ask me, like, I always ask my clients, what business are you really in? Right. And they have a hard time answering that. It's like fluffy, typical answers are real fluffy, and I say, no. What business are you really in? So to give you an example, people ask me, well, what business are you really in? I'm in the time compression business. I'm going to get you where you want to be a hell of a lot faster than you trying to do it yourself with my processes and my systems and my efficiencies. But I'm in the confidence building business too. Because what I realized was, when you're working with optimal confidence, that's when you triple and quadruple down on everything. Like everything. And so a lot of people have these superpowers. How many people Scott, that have a tremendous product or service, but they're getting killed by the competition because they're getting out marketed? Right?
A bunch of people, yeah.
And so I want to demolish that, because if you have one of my old clients said this to me, Henry, you're an amazing designer. You're an amazing person. You deserve amazing clients. And so when I see that from influencers and personal brands that have great product or service, but they're not positioned properly, it goes through me like a bolt of lightning. And I just want to do everything I possibly can to help them get those amazing clients that they deserve. So again, I can't just give that to you because you won't appreciate it. And I think, people that pay attention, and so a lot of people are undervaluing their expertise. I had a client, Brenly Shapiro, been in the game 20 years as a coach. she's getting paid $200 an hour. And I said, you deserve $2,000 an hour. Why aren't you paying it? Well, and then when I breathed, I don't know what, that's not the right word, but when I gave her that confidence, now she's charging $2,000 an hour and she's getting it because she's that good. She's working with NHL teams. So, we take it for granted, right? Because it's our superpower.
Everybody's got a superpower, and everybody has to realize what their hour is worth. It's one of the things that I always say, know what your hour is worth. If you want to be up here making this money, you can't be doing that by doing $15 an hour jobs. You got to know what you're worth. You got to know and then value it, and then value your time first, because nobody's going to value your time until you start doing it first and foremost. Right, Henry?
Listen, if you don't believe in yourself, again, nobody's going to believe in you. And so if you don't think, and I used to do those little silly things, and I tell my clients to do it to this day. My wife thought she was ready to put me in the loony bin. But I was sitting in front of my mirror, and I would repeat to myself, this is a $10,000 investment. This is a $10,000 investment. And then it got to 15, then at 20, and then it's 90. And then I just closed my first $105,000 client last week, right? One client, 6 figures. Like, if I didn't practice and prepare and feel comfortable with those numbers and know that I could deliver that with confidence, I'd still be doing logos for $50.
Mm-hmm.
And so the game has changed. You get what you tolerate, and I'm done tolerating the nonsense.
That's true. Good stuff. Henry, what's the best way for people to get more and find out more information about you?
The best way is go to my website, Unique Designz with a Z. You can check out the Brand Doctor podcast on iTunes, and I am most visible on Instagram at this point. We've got 106,000 followers there, and very, very active. You could go to the Brand DR to check me out there. But Scott, I just got to say thanks again for having me on the show. Hopefully I provided some value for your folks. And
always, man, great stuff as always, man. Glad to have you. We're gonna have to have you again on National Social Media Day again. How's that sound?
I'm there.
Good stuff, man. Henry, thank you so much for some great nuggets. Congratulations on all your success. We look forward to hanging with you, picking your brain in the near future. You and I need to talk on the first of the year as well on a client basis and go from there too. All righty,
awesome, brother. Have an amazing day, dude.
You too, man. Hey, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah, whatever.
Likewise, brother.
Great, but we'll see you later. Thanks, Henry.
Bye.